Thanks for joining me again for this series on conversation tools. I learned these conversation tools from a wonderful teacher named Monica Sharma, and I'm sharing them with you all in hopes of helping you navigate difficult conversations and difficult situations. A couple tools that I also wanted to share. I've been reading from this book, which has so many in it, and I can't share them all, and I really want to, but two that I felt were especially important because they're really difficult for me personally. I know that they are difficult for others as well. Especially being a new mom, this first one happens pretty much every week for me. So dealing with overwhelm and distinguishing overwhelm from overload. People have so much capacity, and overload is when there is not enough. I don't, as a human, have enough capacity to deal with all the work that is on my plate, and that is real. That happens. For example, my family just got COVID. I was looking at the week in front of me, and I was like, I literally cannot do all of these things. It would be overload if I tried to do it all, so I have to not do some of it. There's only so many hours in the day, and there's only so much capacity that we have as humans. Overwhelm is different. Overwhelm is focusing on the story about how much you have to do instead of being in action and actually getting it done. Overwhelm, the antidote for being overwhelmed is actually being in action. The process for moving through overwhelm is naming it. Well, first it's noticing it, noticing that it's happening, because you can just be in overwhelm and not even notice that it's there. So you have to first notice it and then name it and then let go while being in action. There's this thought, I think especially in New Age and in meditation and all of this, that you just notice and then you just let go. And that doesn't work for people because it stays in the body and it stays in us unless we're in action. There are 8 steps to transform overwhelm into creative action, and I'm just gonna read them. The first one is recognizing your commitment. And if you had no commitment, then you would have no overwhelm. So you have a large and important commitment to something, and it is the foundation of the overwhelm. But starting with the commitment realigns you to the purpose behind everything. So you can inquire, what is the commitment or vision in the background that gives rise to your sense of overwhelm? Deepen this conversation and don't hurry through it. So spend time in this important piece. Recognize that overwhelm is a feeling. It is a feeling state. It's all happening inside of your body, and it is not a reality. It is emotions in your body, and it's not that it is not valid because it is not a reality. It is just something that is happening inside of you, which is actually wonderful because that means that you have the ability to change the story. Know that you do not need to have all the information in order to be in action. So there may be a sense of overwhelm around not having everything that you need in order to do something. And you don't need all of those things in order to work through your overwhelm. You do not need all the information or the knowledge in order to make this transformation. Know how to connect specific actions to the big picture. As you work through overwhelm, understand what are the most meaningful actions that are going to really move the needle forward in the most meaningful way. And then work on those. And don't work on the other ones. Work on the things that are really the most impactful and in the most alignment with your vision and your values. Get help. People want to help you. I have a big problem asking for help and receiving gifts. In our family having COVID recently, started asking for all kinds of help, and it was there. And I was really surprised. I wasn't surprised, but I was surprised, you know? I felt really cared for by a lot of different people in this community. You know, right after Algernon was born, I asked for lots and lots of help, and so many people were there. And so there are people there who want to help you. Work more effectively and innovate. So when we talk about setting aside the things that are not the most impactful and the most meaningful, that doesn't mean that you stop working, right? Or that you stop being in action. You just are in action in the things that are the most meaningful things. And when I talk about, you know, stopping projects, pausing projects, continuing on what's important, that's what I mean. It isn't that we're trying to not work, right? Like, I'm working right now. I've been talking for the past like almost hour recording videos. But when work is something that is meaningful, that's values aligned, that is something that's important to you and that drives the needle forward in a way that is meaningful, then you can do a lot more work because you want to do it. And so being effective and innovative in the way that you're working is really important. I think of it not really as ways to like cut corners, but finding ways to make your life as simple as possible in all of the different things that you need to do is a key thing. Reducing interruptions. So finding yourself a quiet space, letting others know that you need some time, and then being in action, you know, diving into the work, the actions that are before you that are bringing your project towards the direction that you want it to go. And not thinking about your project as like a multitude of little tiny projects, but really thinking about like the meta of your project. Like, what are you trying to do in the world? And then what are the actions that are really aligned with that? And that is overwhelm. The next one is forgiveness. And forgiveness is an essential component of healing. Forgiveness is different from condoning an action. Forgiveness doesn't mean that what something someone did was okay, but it allows us to reclaim our sovereignty in our own lives in the face of wrongdoing. The process of forgiveness is an internal one, and the steps are these. So thinking of an unresolved grievance in your life, knowing exactly how you feel about what happened, articulating what about that situation was not okay. And this doesn't necessarily have to be to the person who did the thing to you. It can be to another person. Make a commitment to yourself to do what you have to do to feel better. Forgiveness is for oneself, it's for you, and it's not for anyone else. Forgiveness does not necessarily mean reconciliation with the person that upset you or condoning their action. What you are after is peace. Get the right perspective on what's happening. Recognize that your primary distress is coming from the hurt feelings, thoughts, physical upset you're suffering, what happened to you years ago or days ago or hours ago or minutes ago, not something that's happening right now. At the moment that you feel upset, practice stress management, like taking 5 breaths or counting to 10 or something like that. And give up expecting things from other people in your life. The person who, I say that so easily, right? Like give up expecting things from people in your life. But when there's been a wrongdoing, there can be this expectation that the other person will change, or that the other person will apologize, or that the other person will think that what they did was bad. And that isn't necessarily true. When people are wronged, the wrongdoer may never recognize the wrongdoing or express that they felt that they were wrong about it. And that is just the way that it is. And so letting go of an expectation that another person or that you would change anything. And so around that also releasing people from unenforceable rules. So put your energy into looking for another way to get your positive goals met than through the experience that has hurt you. So the reliving of an experience which is harmful, instead of bringing healing, brings pain. And so what are positive goals that you can have that will bring you to a new place? And instead of focusing on the wounded feelings, looking for love, beauty, and kindness, and going back to the grievance story to remind you of the heroic choice to forgive without condoning the action. And like I said, this is really difficult and challenging work. I'm like reading through this and I'm like, oh shit, like there's so many different things that are coming up in my mind that are things to forgive and to work with through this process. And so again, I'll share in the notes the specific wording of this process for you so that if you want to work with it, you can. And so today we worked on overwhelm and forgiveness. I look forward to hearing from you. I want to know, what you think about this work and any results you're seeing, any challenges you're coming up with, and I'll talk to you soon.